A gracious good day to one and all once again. 'Tis I, Norton the First, by grace of God, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, back with you all once again for episode number 106 of Emperor Norton's fantastic history vlog. Today is July 29, 2020, our 134th day under COVID-19 restrictions. Let's begin with something we believe we forgot to announce on Monday, and that is that a new photograph of us has been discovered. We'd like to thank the gang at San Francisco Remembered and Carolyn Walton for bringing it to our attention. We had first spotted this stereoscopic image about a year ago. Someone who owned a copy of it took our tour and promised to get us a scan, but never did. We kind of been keeping this under wraps. Well, it appeared on the San Francisco Remembered Facebook page the other day. An excellent page, check it out. And well, there it was, and it's an image of me, among things, walking down Commercial Street at Kearny, between Kearny and Grant, about a half block from our residence at the Eureka Lodging. So we're going to put it up here if we hadn't before. We want to make sure that everyone got to see it because it's been a long time since a new image of us has been discovered. And we believe this to be the only candid photo ever taken of us. So very, very important discovery. And thanks to everyone who made it happen. Let's begin with our national days, as we always do. Today is National Merry-Go-Round Day. Oh, I hope the merry-go-round didn't break down. It's Looney Tunes theme. National Hire a Vet Day. That's always a good idea. Support our veterans. Indeed. Culinarians Day. That's just a fancy word for people that like food. I think that's pretty much everyone. And Hot Fudge Sundae Day. Well, that's from the Department of Redundancy Department, isn't it? Speaking of Sundays, as some of you who are familiar with us know that the Ghirardelli Chocolate Corporation took away our Emperor Norton Sundae, about 15 years ago. We have been trying to get them to bring it back. That's what this button's for, done by Grand Duke Aaron Almanza, Imperial Maker of Things and Stuff, because we had a protest last year. It wasn't actually a protest. We got Ghirardelli to make us the sundae for one day only. We had about 20 people. An Emperor Norton Sundae is a goblet glass lined with sliced bananas and cherries, whipped cream, a sprinkling of nuts, and cherry on top. They made it for us. It was wonderful, but we are trying to get them to bring it back permanently, and we've tried just about everything. So contact the Ghirardelli Company and demand they bring back the Emperor Norton Sundae, and this would have been a fine day to do it, but they have not. Florida Man, one of our newer segments. And today in Florida Man says cops mistook Krispy Kreme donut glazed for meth and arrested him. Okay, we never know. Today's San Francisco story is from John Ralston's wonderful book, This Date in San Francisco, because it was on this date in 1890 that John McLaren became Golden Gate Park superintendent. William Hammond Hall was a designer, builder, and first superintendent at Golden Gate Park. His honesty and efficiency led to his making enemies in city government, and he resigned in 1876. He was succeeded by William Bond Pritchard, who resigned in 1881 due to inadequate park funding, after which Golden Gate Park declined under a succession of superintendents. In 1887, Hall, who had become state engineer, was asked by Governor Stoneman to serve as consulting engineer for Golden Gate Park. With support from a new park commission, Hall cleaned out inefficient political appointees and became temporary park superintendent, pending the appointment of a permanent one to be recommended by Hall himself. The man Hall recommended was a 44-year-old Scottish immigrant, John McLaren. Born in Kingford, Stirlingshire, Scotland in 1846, McLaren had gardens in Edinburgh. had studied at the Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh and became an apprentice gardener at 14. At the time McLaren was in Edinburgh, the American George Howard was in Europe looking for a gardener for his San Francisco Peninsula estate. Howard interviewed McLaren, liked him, and in 1872 McLaren took the steamship Manhattan to New York. In January 1873, he went via the Isthmus of Panama to San Francisco and worked on the peninsula estates of Howard, Darius Ogden Mills, and William C. Ralston. McLaren was appointed park superintendent on July 29, 1890, and held the office for 53 years, a possibly unique length of service for an American municipal office holder. He was everyone's idea of a typical Scot: dour, tenacious, hard-working, and thrifty. His management was benign despotism. Politicians grumbled, but obeyed him. Gardeners obeyed him. Plants obeyed him. Parks, like other open spaces, are unfortunately regarded by benefactors as fair game for buildings, statuary, and other monuments. Like Hall, McLaren envisioned a park as a sylvan retreat from the city. He fought every attempt to encroach on Golden Gate Park's natural atmosphere and usually won. When the city wanted to extend Sunset Boulevard through Golden Gate Park, McLaren offered the police department a park site at Fulton and 37th, smack in the way of the proposed road, for an academy. The police gladly accepted, and the roadway was blocked. Making a small concession to one agency, McLaren frustrated another's plans to despoil his park. He famously opposed statuary, which for some reason infests city parks. If McLaren could not block a statue's erection, he hid it behind shrubs and plants. Anecdotes abound about McLaren. When the captain of the park police station complained that a tree was growing too close to his station, McLaren reportedly said, "I'm a reasonable man. Let's compromise. You move the station." A good Scot, McLaren kept a stash of Scots whiskey for a wee nip with visitors, particularly, one suspects, for those with whom he was about to negotiate. When McLaren reached age 70 in 1916, the Board of Supervisors waived mandatory retirement, and as McLaren would lose his pension by continuing in office, the board raised his salary. Asked at his 90th birthday what he would like for a present, McLaren reportedly answered, 10 tons of manure. After his death, the city honored McLaren with a statue by his rhododendron dell. How he would have hated that. And his funeral procession went all throughout Golden Gate Park, which is celebrating its 150th birthday this year. If you've never been to Golden Gate Park, what's wrong with you? Go. Let's move on to our other history today, because it was on this date in 1907 that Sir, I believe Lord actually, Robert Baden-Powell forms the Boy Scouts in England. A Boy Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 10 out of 12 isn't bad. 1914 on this date, the first transcontinental phone link is made between New York and San Francisco. Back to transcontinental again, 1920, the first transcontinental airmail flight from New York to San Francisco took place. Also in 1920, this was the date that Mexican rebel Pancho Villa surrendered. On this date in 1957, Jack Parr's The Tonight Show premieres. Still, I think, the best host of the show. I know I'll get some argument on that, but he was great. 1958, the Southern Pacific Bay ferries stopped running in San Francisco. And in 1987, on this date, Ben & Jerry's and Jerry Garcia agree on a new flavor, Cherry Garcia, which you can still get to this day, especially if you go to their outlet at the corner of Haight and Ashbury here in San Francisco. How appropriate. Peace, love, and ice cream. Our births today, 1796. Walter Hunt, an American inventor of the safety pin and the sewing machine. 1869, Booth Tarkington, American novelist, The Magnificent Ambersons. 1883, Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, Il Duce. 1903, Diana Vreeland, French-American fashion editor of Harper's Bazaar and Vogue. 1907, the King of Torts, San Francisco's own Melvin Belli, famous attorney. 1924, Elizabeth Short, The Black Dahlia. 1937, Charles Schwab, American investor and entrepreneur. Our deaths today. 1890, the great artist Vincent van Gogh. 1976, Mickey Cohen, American gangster. 1977, David Lochary, a name you may not be familiar with unless you're a fan of John Waters movies. He was in many of the early ones, of course, co-starred with Divine, particularly Pink Flamingos and Female Trouble. Excellent in both. If you've never seen those movies, do. Not for the faint of heart, though. 1981, the controversial American urban planner from New York, Robert Moses. 1982, Vladimir K. Zworykin, Russian-American inventor in the development of television, invented the cathode ray tube. And 1983, director Louis Buñuel, Un Chien Andalou, among his many, many great movies. Well, that wraps it up for today's edition. Until we see you again, stay safe, stay inside, stay healthy. But if you do go outside, wear a damn mask. We're not going to do a lecture today. We've done enough this week, we think. Don't take unproven cures. I cannot believe that hydrochloroquine is back in the news again, but it is. Be kind to one another, please. Until we see you again, a gracious good day.